It's Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. Chris has decided to join us later. This is the Whatnot podcast, where we put the what into whatnot. Thank you for joining us, Chris.
Yeah, he made me mad right before we went live, so I said I'm out of here. But then I realized I invited him. I got to come back and just
Nice.
And joined with us is Matt Voeltner.
Yep, said it right.
Dang, I was hoping to get it wrong at least 7 times. Well, I ain't gonna make that record tonight. So Matt's on social media, has his own woodworking business, lots of ventures that he's getting into, and his journey is very impressive to read upon and then learn more about. So that's one of the reasons why we have him on, is to just kind of learn more about what he's doing, what he's done, where he's been, like we do with all of our guests. But I like his story a lot. So welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That was an impressive intro.
Chris worked really hard on that.
Yeah, I told Mike to do it.
Nobody's going to own up to it.
No, I will say that I finally listened, for everyone who's been bugging me to listen to the Game of Thrones intro. And I told Chris, I was like, I don't hear it.
Yeah.
But hey, good evening, Mr. Kyle Ely. It's his name I got wrong several times. No one decided to tell me.
Yeah, I waited till the end of that episode to say it's Ely, not Eli.
Yeah, I kept saying Eli. Oh well. So we had fun with it. But Matt, thank you for joining us. We'll get started into it. Tell us about who you are, why you're here, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So Matt Voeltner, Voeltner Woodworking is the business. I formed that in 2015. I was doing some stuff around the house, and pretty much like most every other woodworker story, it was like I posted on Facebook, and then somebody's like, "Oh, can you build me this? Can you build me that?" And I found myself like doing furniture, and I was doing a project, and I was like, "Well, heck, I think I need a business name because I got to send out an invoice." So I came up with Voeltner Woodworking on the fly. I said, "Well, maybe I'll change that later." I didn't know if I liked it or not, and things kind of took off, and the full story is that was 2015. 2017 found myself on a 6 or 7 month backlog, and it was just too much. I was working full-time jobs. My full-time job is in oil and gas, so I work normal 9 to 5, and found myself just going crazy. By then I had 2 young kids, wife, and it was not sustainable. So I packed up the shop, and my wife was doing multi-level marketing, thing, and we were kind of like ships in the night. And I said, you know what, this is crazy. So we both stopped what we were doing and just focused on the family. So after a couple of years, I came back 2019 and started doing some projects again. I don't think I made my first cutting board until 2019. I started with furniture.
Go big or go home, right?
Yeah. So, but it's been a wild ride.
So we can show some of the furniture you have on your website, which, by the way, is voeltnerwoodworking.com. But you had a kitchen island that you built, and really, for one of the early projects, these are both pretty impressive. They're not simple projects by any means.
Yeah. So early on, I didn't ever say no to a project, and my ego was bigger than my workshop. And so I thought, well, I can do that. And so somebody said, hey, can you do an island? It was a friend. And hey, can you do a mobile island for me? And I said, yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Tell me a price. And I'm ashamed to maybe I shouldn't even tell you the price I charged her. Because a lot of people will be very, very upset. It was under $1,000. I'll just say that.
Well, anything would have been under $1,000, before 22. So
yeah, exactly.
You can kind of get away with that.
Yeah. So, and she says, yeah, I want to do like a maple or, some sort of butcher block top on it. I was like, okay, well, that sounds fun. Never did anything like that. So I guess technically that was my first cutting board, right?
Yeah.
But I did that not with a table saw. I did that with a radial arm saw, a Craftsman radial arm saw, and that was sketchy. Talk about safety. A few boards shot through the wall in the shop. Yeah, it was not. I learned a lot since then. And good thing I wasn't doing video content back then.
You learned you needed a table saw?
Yeah. I might have got sponsored by SawStop if I was running that operation on video.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a fun project, and I lost a lot of money on it. And because it was a friend, I didn't feel like I could go back and ask for more money. I said, tips are appreciated.
That's always a good thing to say.
Yeah. So that was my, kind of intro. I did a couple book cases and stuff. But then I had somebody reach out to me who wasn't a friend, and they wanted a built-in done. And that's the other picture that you showed with the curved top. And I said, yeah, I could do that. And never had I ever done anything like that. Never built doors. I think, well, yeah, actually I built the one on the island, but so I did it, and I'm not proud of it because I went back and visited it a couple of years later, and I looked at the finish on it, and it was just so bad. It was like embarrassing. And I said, hey, I can touch this up for you guys and stuff. And they're like, we love it. I was like, yeah, I love it too. And I got out of there. I was like, man,
agree and walk away.
I'm so happy how this turned out. Hopefully they're not listening.
Don't worry, they're not.
Yeah. No. So yeah, that when they're like, oh yeah, just invoice us or whatever. I was like, oh crap. I think I need, I didn't want it to say Matt Voeltner on it, I guess that's the thing now. I guess you can just have your name, but yeah. So I started the business. I registered the business name, and then that was kind of my intro. So then I started finding myself doing like built-in after built-in after built-in. If you go like back early in my feed, I think before I was really doing Instagram, there's a lot of like bigger built-ins that I did, and and then I got a trailer. This is right before I shut the business down, of course. I got a trailer, and logoed it out and everything like that. And I thought I was going to go full time and quit oil and gas and all that. And then I realized there's not a lot of comfort in this woodworking thing right now. Just the way that business was going, it was stressful, and so I decided, well, I'm gonna shut it down. I sold the trailer, and yeah. But built-ins, if I could do it all over again, I would say no to a lot of projects. And I said yes to everything, and I kept raising the price just so that way I could like slow the backlog down. I kept raising the price. I kept getting the jobs, and I was doing $9,000, $10,000, $12,000 jobs just for like an office, and it was crazy.
That's a good thing that you were trying to raise the price basically to slow your backlog down, because then those who didn't want to pay the price want to find somebody else, yada yada.
Right.
At least you were also getting the jobs you wanted to do, because I've always found that you need to have I don't feel like doing it price.
Right. Yeah.
And then at the same time, and some people will be like, well, it's just way too high. And it's like, well, if you want me to do it, that's what it's going to be. So, and you can't be ashamed of that, because you really, you got a backlog.
Yeah. I had one project that was, these people contacted me, and they're like, oh, we want a laundry room done. And their laundry room was kind of like underneath the staircase. So it had like an angle on it. And I think I did a throwback to it not too long ago, and complex angles and stuff like that. And so, I priced it out pretty decently, I thought, and I gave them the price, and they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, we want you to do it. And then they're like, do you do military discount? What are you going to say?
Yes.
Now I would say no. I would say, I thank you for your service, right? Like, I think that's important, and I appreciate that. But had I known what the client, they were so picky. Like, and at that point, after that job, I have if I could smell blood in the water, I have what I call a PITA charge. PITA. You can fill in the blank. And so, yeah, if I notice that they're going to be that type of client, I'll give them the PITA charge on my invoice.
Well, there's a lot of time that's added to that people, I don't know, like if my wife and I ever quote something and then they decide to make changes after the fact, I always let her know right away, like, hey, they're looking to do more than what they originally told you. And she'll go right back to them and be like, whoa, that's not part of the original deal. Like, any kind of changes now at this point, that changes things a little bit.
Yeah, I've learned a lot on the invoicing side. Just, my disclaimer, went from like 2 sentences, thank you for your business, share on social media, to a change is going to cost, incremental whatever. And so I just now I try to protect myself on that type of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's one of that's the tough thing to navigate in small businesses, is that you have to know your market. Okay, so everyone, in different parts of the country are going to have different prices. So where you charge under $1,000 for that island, someone, somewhere else in the country may not ever get anything over $1,000 for that island. It all depends on where you're at.
Right.
So whenever you're out there looking, I always price everything based off of, a painting company or someone else in the area doing it, knowing how they do it, and then just say, yeah, well, we'll do it for this.
Right.
Have you ever run into a job that you didn't get, and then they hired somebody else because they were cheaper, and then they messed it up, and then they come back to you?
Fortunately, that hasn't happened to me, but I know. So I, talked to other woodworkers, and yeah, I've heard that happen many times, and it's just like, so I was gonna, somebody will probably steal this idea, and that's fine. Have fun with it and tag me. But I was gonna do a build your own cutting board package, because people look at my prices on my website and they're like, oh man, I was really hoping to get a cutting board, but it's so expensive. Because that's primarily what I do, smaller stuff now instead of the built-in stuff, because the family. And so they'll look at the price and they're like, yeah, I mean, you can do it yourself if you want to, buy a table saw. You want to buy. So basically, the do-it-yourself kit was going to come with all the wood, cut down for him. But I was going to include a sander. I was going to include glue, include a bunch of Bessie clamps. And, it was going to be $1,000 cutting board. And it was going to come with, 2 hours of free training,
Absolutely.
But, people think, they see something, they think, oh, I can go to IKEA, or I can go to wherever and I can get that. And, I tell them I'm not IKEA, I'm Restoration Hardware. And in fact, I'm probably more than Restoration Hardware, because I don't bulk things out. I make them custom for you. Yeah. And so people just don't have that, mentality. So they ask for the discounts and, whatever. And it is what it is. But
yeah. Well, I know that if you go to like Walmart, for instance, and this is probably maybe about 3 years ago, you could get a cutting board that was maple untreated and sanded to 100 grit on a drum sander for, $40.
Right.
But you don't want to cut on that. Like, that's a bad idea all around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah, you definitely get what you pay for. But we used to joke all the time at work that when someone came in, they wanted to turn a pin. It's like, well, your first pin's going to cost you $1,000. It's like, what are you talking about? You got to buy the lathe, you got to buy the tools, you got to buy the kit, you got to buy the bushings. Like, there's a lot that goes into just having a pin. And so when someone's charging $35, like, it costs them $1,000 to make that $35.
Right.
It wasn't inexpensive.
There's a TikTok sound bite going around. A lot of people have used it, and it's like, you're not paying for the one product. You're paying for the time and experience. You're paying for the mistakes that have led up to that point. You're paying for, someone's time away from their family, or you're putting food on the table, and you just kind of, I mean, if you put it in perspective, you're not, $40. I mean, that barely covers half a cutting board material these days.
Oh yeah. Is it the Van Gogh soundbite for the napkin?
No, I don't think it's that one.
That one's always been my favorite, where the lady asks for a sketch and gives it to, and he does it, and he's like, that'd be $5,000. And she's like, what do you say? Took 5 minutes. It's like, yeah, but it took years to make a 5-second. You know, if you want to do it, here's a napkin and a pen. Knock yourself out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been woodworking? Well, I don't woodwork. Okay. Well, I have been for X number of years. So this is the price for my experience.
Right. Yep.
My experience is just a bunch of mistakes that I learned not to make again.
Yeah. Or you make them again and you say, I said I was never going to make that mistake.
Oh, there we go. I did it again.
Yeah. Those are the ones you got to post, though.
I'm learning. That's the ones I'm usually when I make a mistake now, I'm in a rush trying to get it fixed before the customer comes to pick it up.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, I don't really have time to post this mistake. I just got to fix it real quick. And then I'm like, hey, look, glory shot. Because that's all the time I had left.
Yeah. Now, I've been enjoying the content creation part of it. You know, I think everybody calls himself a content creator these days. You know, everybody wants to be a content creator. But it's true. It's like I've been enjoying that part of it. But moving the camera around and, you know, because you got to get, you know, 3 angles of you cutting something because you can't have a shot that lasts longer than 3 seconds or you're going to lose your audience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's I've enjoyed that part of it. But then, yeah, sometimes I'm just like, it's not worth it. I just need to get the project done.
There you go.
Just got to get it done.
Sometimes it's about taking a photo after you've made the cuts and they're all stacked up and then you're off doing the next thing.
Right. Yep, exactly.
You're
Like,
like,
oh, dang,
I got to ask you about your $1 million shot. You know, talking about your content. Now, not the fact that you were able to get the jug to stay up in the rafters, but the fact that you were willing to lose that much Titebond glue when it's literally unavailable at the moment.
All right, so I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret, and some people probably picked up on it.
It's full of water.
So I wonder if I can show it on here, or if the camera's just going to screw up. Is this going to be dead air? You'll edit this out, right?
No, we leave it all in there.
So you see the jug up there?
Uh-huh.
It was already there. So yeah, I had 2 jugs.
I like how you checked the jug though. You're like, did it break?
Yeah. Oh no, wait. Yeah, it gets better. So I had a couple shots. I think this next shot, I hit the camera. And then the third shot. So for those of you who are listening and not watching,
you need to watch it so you can see this.
That's right. Go onto the YouTube. All right, here. This is a good one. So I throw it in the air. Boom! Splits wide open. Glue everywhere. So I think at some point I'll probably post the outtakes on it.
Got to have the blooper reel on that one.
Yeah.
You're such a backstage TikToker.
Yeah. People are going to feel gypped now.
No, not at all. It's all about the content.
Yeah. I had this idea and I thought if I could make it look like it landed up in the rafter, because everybody was doing the thing, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's throwing Titebond around their shops. And, you know, I think some good ones are like hitting a target, you know, or just like throwing it and walking out. I think Two Moose did that, just threw it and walked out or whatever. It's pretty funny. Not that, well, I got to be different. Got to do something different. So
I liked Wood Mavens because she had her kids do it first, and one had like the quart bottle and the other one had a gallon jug. And I when I watched it, and they were like, you could tell when they did it, they were super excited. And I thought, how many takes? I'm just curious.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the trick shot one, you know, like where they set up the whole like obstacle course or something like that. And then all of a sudden the, you know, jug flips over. So maybe a challenge to somebody out there.
I would have been tempted to do the throw, and then my next shot would have been the glue all spread out on my workpiece, ready to glue together.
Ooh, I like that.
That's good.
You can have that, but that would have been my take. Now nobody's going to do it, but you know.
Well, we're waiting for you to do it.
I'll do that with the cling bond because I don't have access to Titebond at the moment.
Oh yeah.
When you said everybody was throwing around Titebond, I was going to say everybody but Titebond.
Right.
They sent it out. That's why we don't have any Titebond.
Well, you guys saw that deal that was going around a couple months ago where they were like selling the little bottles or whatever, and people were just cleaning the shelves. I don't know
for
what that was
80
about.
cents.
Yeah.
I really don't know because I don't know if it was Type Bond or if it was Lowe's, to be honest with you. It's almost like they had waited too long for their shipment to come in, or it sat somewhere and froze.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was a lot of separation in the bottles. Now they're freeze thaw for 7 times, I think it is. So there's a lot of people that were bashing it, and I had to go on one forum and just be like, it's still good. Just mix it up. It's fine.
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, no, there's separation. You can't use that junk. And I thought, okay, I'm not fighting that battle.
Right.
But it looked like it sat for a little while.
You just got to do this. You just got to keep on scrolling.
Yeah. Yeah. Just be like, you know what? Not today. Gerald, who's going to join us next week from the Appalachian Wood Shop, asks, where do you get your wood, rough or select 4 sides?
It depends on how much time I've got. So I primarily buy from Houston Hardwoods here in Houston. And there's a couple other places I go to, Clark's and stuff, but mainly work with Houston Hardwoods. And if I'm in a hurry, I'll call them up. I've got a good relation with them. In fact, they carry my wood wax in their shop. But I call them up and I just tell them, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for. And they'll have it milled up by the time I get there. So, which is really cool. But if I'm doing like cutting boards and things like that, I typically want to go out and pick out the lumber, because the guys that are picking out the lumber, they don't know what you're doing it, making it for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to see a lot of face grain, so that way when I turn it on its edge, it's how I want it. But if they're picking it out, they're going to think you want, you don't want to see a lot of face grain. Yeah. And so that's when I buy the rough stuff. And it's, so it's like 50 cents, I think, for them to do S4S at my supplier.
Sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, really, for the price of it, that's a lot of places around here in North Carolina now are just doing S4S. It just comes out that way. They're not even, the rough is now actually costing more because of the rustic appearance of it.
Yeah, when you're paying $14 a board foot, I mean, what's 50 cents?
Why not?
Or you might get lucky like I did and buy what was labeled Sapelli, but it turned out to be Babinga. I mean, so.
Oh, yeah.
Bonus.
Yeah. It's a win-win.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, anyway.
Let's see. Angus says that whenever people say they can make insert project, if they have the same tools, I always tell them, go buy the tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was somebody posted a video about, you could do I could do that if I had, somebody just did an epoxy. Oh, it was Jason Hibbs. He did that epoxy river. Can I say the
you can
art
say whatever
table
you want. Yeah, that's fine. Keep it clean.
I don't want you guys to get flagged because it's trademarked.
I'll just go ahead and put some music right over that. No one will ever know. I'll just let the Sony come after me or something instead. That'd be easier.
So he did his epoxy pour, and he took all like the negative comments and stuff. And I think one of them, I'm pretty sure it was him. One of the comments said, "Yeah, I could build that too if I had $10,000 worth of equipment or whatever." And it's like, yeah, you could. So cool.
Yeah. Whenever people make that comment, it's like, well, how do you think I got here?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like it's no longer a jab anymore. It's just like, yeah, that's how this works.
My shop started with all the hand-me-down tools from my dad. So he was moving. They moved from California to Georgia, and then they left a bunch of tools behind. And then I moved to Houston, and I took the tools with me. Started with that, and then I started kind of like it was all craftsman. I mean, my dad was like craftsman to the T. He could have been the spokesman for it, and so I just started replacing all the stuff, just one by one. But I mean, it was decent stuff. Still have a couple of the tools, but I mean, you got to start somewhere. Not everybody starts that way. I mean, I still have a benchtop joiner, and so one day I'll grow up and have have a decent joiner.
I don't like how people bash the old craftsman. I mean, the new craftsman I get, but the old craftsman was really made by all the top brands at the time. They basically just said, hey, make it and put our label on it. So you still had good quality tools,
Yeah.
They were just under one roof.
Mhm.
I kicked myself for getting rid of that radial arm saw. It's at my brother's house.
I was going to ask if you ever got rid of it, or if you kept it.
I got rid of it for space. But if I could steal it back from my brother, I would.
Hey,
but it's still running good.
Current Mr. Foxhall Woodworks, Mr. JP Brown says, yeah, radial arm saws are super sketchy. I learned on an old 50s era radial arm saw. Yeah, my dad showed me, that was one of the first saws I used, was a radial arm saw. So
nice mug.
I know you're
That is a
listening,
nice mug.
Foxhall, but you should watch. Sponsor.
I'd say somewhat sponsored since he gave it to you.
Well, how about this?
What
then?
shirt are you wearing?
Boom.
There you go.
Get you some of that, Foxy.
Let's
Thank you very much for sending us some goodies.
Yeah.
I'll send you
Need
my
your
I'll send you
name
my
on it.
address.
Looks like Wolverine Woodworks or something. You know, you need a name on there. That's all right. We got you.
That mug is so rad. Oh, there you go. Angus still has his Craftsman radial arm saw. You know, I found the biggest mistake, and we covered this one time in our day job, is that it's the wrong blade people put on a radial arm saw that causes them more grief in using it.
Yeah.
If they put the right angle on the tooth, it's a much more, I wouldn't say pleasurable experience, but it's a lot less nerve wracking.
Especially
Or
if the
safer.
blades are facing the right direction.
Oh, that helps.
I don't know why my wood's burning all the time.
That's supposed to be doing that, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Why
I
are
like
those,
Kyle's thing, body of water table. There you go.
Body like that.
Why are those carbide teeth flying all over the shop? What is that shrapnel?
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of people that buy the table saw, it comes with a blade, and then they start saying, "Man, I hate this table saw." Well, you have the same blade on it for 6 months, and you're doing cross cuts and everything else. I mean, yeah, combo blade. I keep a combo blade on most of the time, and it's good for most everything. But when you upgrade to a nice blade, it makes all the difference.
Is yours the Amana AGE series on the combo?
Yeah. Yep. I've got the Amana AGE, and I've got all the blue
Prestige.
Yeah.
Good blades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, you know what you're saying, but you start with what you have. I mean, I remember back in 96 or 7, I started with a shopsmith, and that's how I started my business back then. And I was building, laundry rooms and small scale stuff, entertainment centers, and I was doing everything on that, as sketchy as that thing was. So,
yeah. I had a see, when I got rid of the radial arm saw, it was actually my dad's table saw. He gave me that in place of it. And then it was like a contractor version of it. And then I bought another, small contractor one. And it wasn't until when I started the business, I was like, well, I need a bigger table saw. I bought a Delta Unisaw, 52-inch Biesmeyer fence, the Cadillac.
mm-hmm.
And then it was like probably a year later, everybody's getting saw stop. I'm like, dang it. And so I've been doing these shop tours, different woodworkers. I did one. First one was with Mike, Veteran Woodco, when I visited in Jersey. He's got a saw stop, and I visited Bow Design Craft, and he has a saw stop. And I was like, man, I think it's time. So last week I placed my order.
There you go.
So I'm getting rid of the Delta Unisaw.
So what did you decide to go with?
So I getting the 36 PCS, the industrial base, because I'm doing the router table extension, and then I'm doing the slider for it also.
Oh, you'll love that slider.
Yeah.
That's wicked.
Yeah.
You're such a follower. You're only doing that because Spags did it.
That's right.
Oh, I was like, I'm just waiting now that the Powermatic thing didn't go through. Is he finally going to branch out into other brands?
So I got to say this about Mark. Solid dude. So he did that video about that created a bunch of controversy, which is the miter gauge. So I've got the Harvey MG36 miter gauge. And I was like watching his video and I was like, this is not my experience. So I was watching the video. It was like 10 o'clock at night. My wife's like, oh, I'm going to bed. And I was like, I'm going to the shop. She's like, okay. So I recorded in like 20 minutes. I recorded a video and I was like, I'm just going to put it up on YouTube just for fun. So I edited it and posted it, I think the next morning or next day. And I was just like, this is not my experience with this miter gauge. And it was a bit of a rebuttal. And I had tagged him in one of my stories or whatever. And he messaged me back. He's like, I'm glad it worked out for you. And we had a pretty good conversation and he was super cool about it. So, you know, I know people were dogging on him and stuff like that. And I didn't feel like it was a fair review of the miter gauge. Because he was like, at the end, he was like, do not buy. And I was like, oh, that's pretty harsh. You know,
that's when you were like, I'm going to the shop.
I'm going to the shop. It was 10 o'clock. Yeah. When I say that, she's just like, okay, whatever. I'm going to bed.
She knows.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, he's a good dude. But yeah, not the fanboy or anything like that. Just interesting timing that I am getting a saw stop, right?
Yeah. Is there someone else who's getting a saw stop in this conversation? That's why I was wondering what you got. Now, did you get the 3 horsepower or the 1.75?
3.
Yeah, there you go. Good man, 220 all the way.
So I am downgrading from a 5 horsepower Delta, but it's too big. Like 52 inch. I mean, that's crazy. And then
that's
if you
what we all think we want, and then 36 will really do everything. You
I mean, if you got a track saw, like the number of times that I've used the 52 inch capacity, and it's that, talk about sketchy, like with no slider, anything like that, trying to, you know, cross cut a sheet of plywood on that thing, unless you put a bunch of butter down, you're not getting that thing with a clean cut at all.
Well, see, I come from a cabinet shop, so I was trained. I mean, as far as trained is basically, hey, go grab that and cut it. You learn how to navigate a full sheet and do things. So I would rather cut up full sheets on the table saw because I know what I'm dealing with. I don't have, you know, it's all set up, but you know, so I would love a 52 because I'm doing mostly sheet goods. In your case, you're not doing a bunch of sheet goods. You're doing cutting boards.
Right.
You know, and you know, the occasional sheet good. So
yeah, but if he's got the slider, he doesn't need the 52 on that side. He can do everything now on the left side.
Right.
Well, you could just make yourself a micro jig inspired sled that'll cut anything.
Lord, have to bring that one out.
I love it.
This guy.
You're quick on those hashtags.
Well, I have to be. I missed a couple of them so far. I saw it and I listened to it. I was like, dang it.
I only say that because when I released that, I got so much hate from people. Oh man, it's too big. Why do you got such a big sled? You never use it. Please. I use that more for my small stuff than I do anything else because you got a place to put your things while you're navigating your anyway. So
yeah. The last like 20 inches on that table is a hold all. I push things out of the way to move the fence over.
I'm looking to get the same exact saw without the sliding table. I'm going to go with a left side router table instead.
Okay.
So that's my goal. Hopefully soon.
Cool.
Now, are you getting the saw stop router table or are you going to use the one you have now?
No, I think I'm going to get the saw stop router table because the one I have now, I've already cut the hole for that crappy RTI plate and it limits me to not being able to use any other plate. And if I do, I won't have a left wing to replace it with in the saw that I have. So I figure I'll just sell my saw as is with the bench dog router table in it. And then I'll get the saw stop. And I think I'll still use my Triton just because I can't justify all the money they want for a lift. And
I was going to say, if you get the saw stop stuff now, go ahead and get it. Because from what I'm noticing trend wise, that they're really scaling that whole line down. So if you're doing anything saw stop related, go ahead and grab it now because they are really starting to trim that line, if you will.
Well, as long as I've got the router table, they're always going to make plates for it. So, or it should. So at any time I can upgrade to something else, and their plate size is standard.
Yeah.
What I have now is not. And so I can't put anything in it.
So we have a question from Mr. Gerald Vance for you, Matt.
Okay.
How much are you selling the Unisaw for?
All right. Are you in Houston?
No, he's in West Virginia.
Oh, well, that'll impact the price. So
he can drive.
I think I bought it originally for, and whenever somebody starts with that, like, oh, this brand new, this is whatever. You're like, oh, this guy's not going to give me a good price.
Yeah.
But I think it was only like $2,600. Now they're going for like $4,000, that same saw. And I was probably going to put it out for like $900, $1,000, probably something like that.
Boy, that's the I got to get rid of it today price right there.
Yeah, because that model still had the was US made, right?
Yeah, if it had the Biesmeyer on it, it was.
Yeah, because I saw a post. Matter of fact, it was yesterday, I believe. Somebody had posted they had just bought one of the new Delta saws, and they put a straight edge across the cast iron portion of the table, not the wings, but the cast iron portion. And from the left side of the blade to the right side of the blade, the straight edge was doing this.
Ooh.
I was like,
wow.
Ooh. So it almost like it had a hump right in the middle.
Yeah.
That's not good. Yeah, no, I mean, that's going to be good machining all around, and then having the Biesmeyer fence before. See, it's interesting what year it is, because if it's before Delta bought it, those were all handmade too. I mean, they were still handmade after Delta bought it, but they just weren't the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a decent fence. I probably could take a little bit more time and dial it all in, but for what I use it for, I'm gonna run everything through the joiner, through the planer, whatever. Now I throw it on the CNC. So for me, it's like, it's good enough to get what I need, what I do with it. But yeah, it's too big for what I want to do with the shop. So part of the shop tours is kind of like trying to figure out workflow and stuff. I've had a lot of conversations with guys about the workflow of their shop, and I need to be able to, so Joe from Waves of Grain, he's really good about like how to, like, you should only touch something one time before it goes to the next process. And I find myself like I'm doing something and I'm touching that same piece of wood or that same project multiple times, moving it from one spot to another. So part of my thought process is try to figure out a workflow for the majority of my projects. And then, it really comes down to putting the table saw center so I can have a workflow around it. Right now, it's just kind of off to the side.
And I bring this up because because you're going to make this a series as you go to revamp the shop now that you've done the shop tour, which, by the way, I'll let you know Chris is super jealous of, because he's had this idea for years now of just going around all these content creators or people who are Instagram who have these shops and just talking to them about the flow, talking to them about the entire shop itself. So I'll show this. So this is kind of part of the shop right now.
Yeah. So this, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. So what are you going to be changing in this?
So this is the garage is it's 2-car garage, but then it's got this area in the back. So this is like a step up going to the back of the garage. And so in this area, you see the outfeed table. I put tracks in it, thinking I was going to use using the T-tracks and stuff just to like do glue ups and stuff like that. I've never used them. All they are is a dust trap. And for my shop, I mean, that's probably the cleanest it's been in a long time on those pictures.
I was gonna say, it looks great.
Yeah. But you see that the cabinets, and that on the left picture you have there, the cabinets were in the back, underneath the upper cabinets. And then I moved them over and moved the CNC more center. And then I moved the cabinets over to the right. So those cabinets that are under that tools today banner, those are going to come out. I'm going to replace them with the Craig tables. Yep. And then quick on the hashtags. Love it. So I'm going to replace it with the Craig tables and then do that. And then that whole table saw and outfeed table are going to get moved to the center because we don't park in the garage anymore. So my wife is let me kind of just take over this as my domain. And so I'll move that area out, and then I'll have kind of an assembly area that I'll use like kind of right there in front of the CNC. It'll be an assembly area, but I'll also be able to like do video. So right now I'm just like struggling finding a spot to do videos, you know, a nice backdrop and things like that. And then those upper cabinets are going to come down, and along both of those walls is going to be French cleats. So, because you know, most of the tools that I use, they're shoved in a drawer or something like that, or they're put on the last 20 inches of the table saw, and so I want to be able to have quick access to stuff. So I think we're going French cleat. Gonna kind of clean up the work surface area, and then I'm going to try to get rid of cabinets, because I find that if I have cabinets, I just shove crap at them.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
At least if you have cabinets with doors, at least you can hide it.
Yeah. One of my upper cabinets right now, the hose, the vacuum for the CNC is coming, and it's hanging off of one of those doors. I mean, it's very jerry rigged right now.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of envious.
So I noticed that while we were gone looking at that picture, Chris has changed his name from Mike Voeltner to Mr. Micro Jig.
Well, that's what Foxhall said to do.
That's it.
I listened to the fans.
Oh, wait.
Well, they also said, you know, Catalina wine mixer, but we didn't really go into that either. There was Step Brothers references while we were talking.
So Angus is saying that if I drive it to Utah, he'll make a good home for it. But I wonder wonder how much you're willing to pay for gas.
It'll be cheaper than what he has to pay for gas.
We know Gerald could turn that into a to an Appalachian heritage, you know, road trip.
Yeah.
Follow the Appalachian, just turn left and go sort of southwest instead of you know.
You'll have to check out your local PBS to see if Appalachian Heritage Wood Shop is on, because that's where Gerald's from.
Oh, all right.
And and the real quick story for you, and some of the fans already know by listening to this, that he wasn't allowed to be on the podcast because he was trying to get a government grant, and they said, yeah, no. So now that he finally did get the grant, now he's like, yeah, I'm good to go, guys. So
Nice.
We're excited for that one. Oh, he'll give you $50 in gas and a burrito, but it has to be a really good burrito, because you're talking Texas.
Yeah, burrito from Utah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So
Last week we learned about table saw tacos. Maybe that's the way to go, because table saw burritos just doesn't work.
Doesn't sound right. Table saw tacos works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you had mentioned, and I didn't get a picture of it, but you had mentioned you have a cutting board. Is it a wax?
Yeah.
Treatment?
So yeah, I think I'm trying to remember who originally did it. When I was first kind of getting started in the cutting board stuff, I saw somebody else making their own cutting board, you know, stuff, and you know, was calling it cutting board wax or cutting board. I don't know, whatever they call it.
Board butter.
Board butter, yeah. And so I was like, well, I want to make mine a little different, so I made it more like a paste. And so, you know, so it wasn't really waxy, because I found that people who were typically buying that, or like a brand new cutting board, you know, a wax is great. I mean, it'll, if they keep it waxed, but a lot of people were contacting me like, hey, I've got this, you know, cutting board. It's been in the family, whatever. And I was like, well, you really need to like soak that thing. And so it's pretty much like a 50-50 ratio of mineral oil and beeswax. And so I call it preserver. And so that was kind of, I did that. And then the people were like, well, now I need a wax. So I have the preserver and the wax. They're different ratios, but same ingredients.
Mike, you want to put those ingredients up on the screen?
I can make it. I'd be happy to not make any more of it.
It always sounds like fun until you start making batches and batches and double boilers and it's no.
Yeah. And then it's
just it was fun, right?
Yeah. It's I find like with cutting boards, I mean, if I'm honest, I'd be fine never making another cutting board, right? Like it's just, and that's why I've raised the prices so dang much, because I just don't enjoy it anymore. And I'm not the type of a person who, like, I could never work in a factory where I'm just doing the same thing every day.
Yeah.
So it goes back to kind of like I said, I'd say yes to every job, because at the time, every job was a new job, a new something. And I don't like just kind of doing the same mundane, thing. So that's why I really like doing like signs and stuff with the CNC, because it's different tool paths, different bits, different challenges. It's a never-ending learning process. Different materials.
I was talking to a guy the other day when he said, "Oh, I guess once you learn it, you mastered it." I went, "No, the CNC is like golf.
Yeah.
It takes you've got to keep practicing and keep learning. Just when you think you got it down, you're swinging that ball and slicing it off in the woods. You got the wrong tool path, and it just ruins your piece or break a bit. I mean, there's always that little thing that when you think you got it, you get arrogant or cocky or whatever, and the CNC shows you it's in charge."
Would you say that it would be helpful if there was an academy like Learn Your CNC Academy?
Likely, yes. I would find it beneficial.
That would be convenient.
Wouldn't that be convenient? If you joined Learn Your CNC Academy, which is academy.learnyourcnc.com, you can learn Vectric and Aspire at your own pace for one low price. So check out Learn Your CNC Academy at academy.learnyourcnc.com. There we go.
With hundreds of videos at your disposal, learn as you go. Stop, start, pause, repeat.
Go back a few episodes and listen to Kyle talk about it.
Skip ahead because you think you can, then go back to the beginning and start again so you can learn it the right way.
Is that like when you say, I don't need the instructions?
Yeah, that one for sure. I would want the instructions.
Yeah,
that's a great
idea. CNC 101. Nah, I'm gonna go ahead and skip to 201, and then you're like, I better go back and watch 101.
Yeah, it's like I don't want the 2D stuff. I want to cut 3D stuff. I'm going to jump right to it, and then all of a sudden your eyes are just like, no, that was the wrong idea.
Well, Chris, like your analogy with golf, right? I went out and bought a really nice driver, and I thought, well, this is going to make me amazing. I'm gonna outdrive everybody. And I went out to the course and had to hit from the ladies' tees the next shot because I couldn't use it properly. And so I think the same thing is with the CNC, right? Like you can buy a Cadillac CNC, but you really have to know how to use it. And that goes down to the tool paths and what bits to use and stuff like that. And just because it says, or you watch the tool path on the screen and this is how it's supposed to look when it's all said and done, doesn't mean that that's what's going to translate to the final product. So you just have to get to know your CNC.
Yeah, I always laugh because I watch a lot of the posts by Tools Today, and when Matt, he's got great camera work on all of his shots. I'm like, my bit never looks that clean when my CNC stops. So I don't know what he's doing, but he's clearly replacing the bit or something, and then getting the stop shot, separate, because mine's always got stuff on it and dusty. And but I guess when
the secret is doing a close-up shot. You start the shot, you start the bit, and you stop the bit in the same spot, and then you just splice it and put your video content in the middle.
It looks awesome.
Yeah. I like real life. I want people to go, yeah, that's how mine looks, all gummed up with stuff. That.
What I should do is show the floor, because nobody wants to see a dust boot on a CNC. You want to see the bit do its thing. But that floor, it is a disaster at the end of that shot. I mean, I'm covered head to toe. Yeah, wearing my RZ mask, by the way. # not sponsored.
There you go. I'm all for an RZ mask.
Yeah.
They are comfortable in the summertime. Hold on, what do we got here? Okay. I got to go here in a minute. Actually, I'll probably just leave you guys to it because we still got some more time, but I just got to go check some furniture because we have a thunderstorm. But real quick, I thought it was pretty interesting that the conversation for the burrito was, would it be Chipotle or Taco Bell? And Angus is just going to go ahead and get you a gas station burrito.
Oh, well, that's good. At least I know what I'm getting.
Yeah. And then, JP says, well, you might as well just get him some gas station sushi too.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's never that easy just to push a button on a CNC and that's it. It just makes something. There's so much more to it. That's why I don't have one. There's too much going on.
Yeah, I mean, I always encourage people, look, if you've got this CNC, you don't know what it's going to do. You know what you think it's going to do. Learn it. Run tests. Every CNC I've owned or worked with, I encourage people to do tests, whether that be just straight lines or V's or whatever. Because one, it's going to help you get comfortable using it, and two, it'll let you know what your machine can do.
Right. And yeah, it was. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it's the nature of any woodworking,
Right. Yeah, I mean, the first time you go to put a juice groove in a cutting board that walnut cutting board, that you just like, you better know that machine, because otherwise you're going to have coasters. Yeah.
And we've done that. And, I've had plenty of jobs where the bit slipped or bit broke and it did some damage. And I mean, one project I had to redo 5 times before, and this was on the same piece of wood. I couldn't go out and buy new wood because the customer provided the wood.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it was like a piece of wood that meant something to him. So I'm like, oh my gosh,
Right. I have this heirloom piece that I want you to engrave something on. You're like, not my job.
Yeah, we had Tinker workshop on not long ago, and he said that we were admiring the box. He goes, well, I didn't build the box. Somebody else did. They gave me that lid to fix. And we're like, oh, they wanted inlay into that lid. Oh, so
yeah. Oh, yeah. Whenever you get the thing, it's like, I've got this. It's a really simple project. It's my, grandma's 18th century, whatever. I just need it, restained. You're like, yeah, I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
Now, 5 years ago, I would have been the guy, oh yeah, I'll sand that thing down with 40 grit and, come back with a paper thin, box or something like that. No.
Yeah. Well, since we've been talking about CNC, let's talk about that Stepcraft a little bit.
Yeah.
How do you like that thing?
So, yeah, we were talking originally when we first started about I was originally going to get the Shapeoko, and I was talking to a couple guys and they said, what kind of stuff are you looking to do? And so I kind of told them, and I ended up like, well, I think I need something with that's a little bit more beefy, and I had a laser that had an open bottom to it, and so like I could take the laser and put it on a table and engrave on the table and stuff like that. So I liked the concept, and then I came across this M1000, and it also has the same capability. So you could take the right there, it's got the vacuum table on it, but you could take the whole thing out and engrave right on a surface. In fact, they have like vacuum rails that you can, I think I've only seen one video do it. You could put it on a wall and engrave. And I've seen a couple of them. Tools Today actually did a video where they did a floor with it. And then Rod, I can't think of his handle right now, but he did a table with it. And I was like, I really like the open concept of the laser. So if I can incorporate that on CNC, and so I've had the machine for about 1.5 years, maybe, I guess. And I have not yet used that function, but I could if I wanted to. But yeah, it's a really great machine. It's if you get that machine, I highly recommend getting the ball screws for it. So just pay for that upgrade. The machine runs so much smoother with that. The folks at Stepcraft are are great. Like you call them up and you can have a conversation with them. So you're not talking to, it's basically a dozen people working there, and maybe 24. I don't know, but everybody. I went up there a few months ago and met everybody, and everybody's nice. They're assembling it here in the U.S. Up in I think it's Torrington, and so yeah, great machine. They've got the Q series, a bigger machine. Maybe someday I'll upgrade to a bigger machine. They say that you should not buy the CNC that is for now. Buy your next CNC. Yep. And so that's very true, because the footprint on this is 26 by 40, I think, a little bit larger than 26 by 40. And right after I got it, I was like, I should have gone with a bigger one. Like I had a sign job that I could have done, and I would have had to, break it down and move it and do all that. And I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna have to pass on this job, because I don't want to ruin like a $400 sheet of HDU.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a great machine.
So another question for you on that real quick. And Chris, did you have anything else on that? Sorry.
No, I was curious how you felt about it and how you liked it, vacuum table and all that.
So Angus is wondering how you like the drum sander. It looked like a 1938 Supermax.
Yeah. So that I got that. Gosh, I think probably back in 2016, 2017, something like that. And anything wider than 13 inches, I wasn't going to get through on the planer. So I was like, well, I need something for face frames and stuff like that. It's fantastic for that. Because I was doing a lot of cabinets that had face frames, and I could, up to 38 inches, I could put it in and flip it around, and it's awesome. It does eat up sandpaper.
We know a place.
Yeah.
One thing I did like about that model versus a lot of the others on the market, Angus, is that 22-inch wide bed does help hold the workpiece if you're going to do a full 38. I always ran into an issue where you have a bit of an overlap or a bit skinny towards the motor side. If you're doing like a 2244, for instance, I found that using that in a shop one time that I wasn't happy with the edges because they were a little bit thinner. It just wasn't exact for me, but the 1938 had never had any problems.
Yeah, and spring for the wings too.
Yes, the in-feed out-feed table for sure.
I think originally I didn't have those, and that was a mistake.
They're very helpful. Yeah. So talking about planers, you've got a DeWalt. Did you do anything extra to the DeWalt as far as a helical head?
I haven't done that yet. So the cart that you're showing now was I had two different kind of deals that I was having to run it over. This goes back to the trying to make the workflow efficient. So I would go over to the benchtop joiner. Actually, I had to pull that up and put it up on the tabletop, and then do that. And then I'd have to go over to the planer, which is set up on another temporary surface. So I built this cart so that way the outfeed on both of the machines was at the same height. So that way I could set up, something to, run long pieces and stuff like that. And then I did the dust ports kind of off the back there. The thing about that DeWalt, and you guys probably know this, it's just that blower is strong. So if you don't have that blast gate open, that pipe is coming off. And I mean, it's very strong.
And it's not subtle when it comes off either.
No.
It's a quick oopsie.
Yeah. Like, well, blast gate was closed. Or I'll have dust come up through the joiner because I've got both of them open. But yeah, that was a fun project. I did that project for the Tools Today YouTube channel. So that was a fun build.
It's clean looking for sure. Is that what type of frames are those on the doors?
So that's Poplar Frames. It's kind of like I just pieced it together. I was like, it's shop furniture. So I used everything that I had in the shop already, which was birch plywood, 3/4 inch. And then I did Poplar Frames and MDF doors. I used some fun bits on that one too.
And see, I'm a fan of poplar. I just think it's an underrated wood. It's great beginner wood. It's a step up from pine and all of that. It's just a lot of people don't like it because you can't stain it, but you can.
It looks. I think it looks great
killer.
Natural.
Yeah, I think it looks killer there. I like how you did the styles and the rails more complementary to each other.
Yeah,
and that just turned out nice.
Thank you.
I will say that if it's going to be, from what we heard from Bird, Sheelix, it'll be till December, but if you can get yourself one of those Sheelix heads, you can have a conversation over that planer. Where right now your neighbors can't have a conversation over that planer. It's so super loud. Yeah, but that makes a world of difference on that. You get a lot more power too.
Yeah, I wear headphones basically like this in the shop if that thing's going pretty much all the time.
My favorite thing to do, and I know this sounds really strange, but I've run that planer enough to where if you're wearing headphones and you yawn, you can hear the chips through your mouth. It's hilarious.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, and I have a detached garage, and it's like both my neighbor and us, we have like a longer driveway, and our house is kind of, they're all brick. So if I'm running that machine and the garage doors open, the sound is just bouncing around. I know people are like, what kind of plane are they building over there?
It's loud.
Are they testing drag cars or something?
Right. Yeah. I'm surprised I have a cop that lives across the street. So I think
he'll let you know if there's a problem.
Yeah.
So one product I want to talk about that you do make, and I'm guessing, I'm curious how you make this, but it is your Clipit pencil clip.
Yep.
And by the way, awesome hat. But yeah, so it's a Clipit, put it on either side. Was this inspired from the Carhartt loop, or what was it? Duluth made that loop for pencils in their hats.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I actually didn't see those before. I had already. I was just like everybody else, sticking the pencil up the hat, right? And you'd go adjust your hat or whatever, wipe the sweat off your forehead or whatever. And I was like getting pissed because I'm dropping pencils, breaking lead, losing pencils. And I was like, there's got to be something I can do. And so I had actually got a 3D printer. I was gonna make a dust boot for my CNC. And I was like, well, let me just come up with a little design. And so then I sat there and tinkered with it. And I think it was probably like, a lot of iterations, a lot of testing to get it just right. Because, 3D printing, I mean, if the plastic is too hard, it's not going to snap in, it's going to slide out, whatever. So I came up with that design. And then I showed a couple of people, and there was like, oh yeah, I've seen those out there before. So then I Googled it like an idiot. I didn't Google it before I started making them, but I thought, well, I have a 3D printer, I'll just make it. And so luckily my design was different than the ones that were out there. And so I started talking to some people, and a lot of people were like, yeah, I think you should probably, make these available. And so I checked into it and actually sold a couple hundred units. And then I was like, well, I think I need to patent this thing. So it's patent pending.
Cool.
And it actually got a company that is so the one that's there on that picture, that one there, that's it's Multijet Fusion. So I was selling more than I could print, and so I outsourced the printing of them. So it's Multijet Fusion printing, which is it's like basically a powder, and then they come back over it with like light, and then seal that powder, and it just kind of like layers up, so you don't see any print lines in it whatsoever. Really slick design, but ultimately I want to get them injection molded, and so that's kind of where I'm going with the product. And talking with a couple other companies that are I've sold a couple bulk orders to companies that now sell them in their stores and stuff. So it's kind of taken off, which is kind of cool.
That is cool. Now, are you, and if this is too personal, you let me know, but is it something you're looking to do in the United States only?
So right now it's in the US, but the cost to produce anything in the US, like the unit cost on those is it's probably 5 or 6 times what I could get them made elsewhere overseas.
Gotcha.
And so with the volume that I'm talking about doing for this next run, it would not be like I couldn't get them out to the market, and I would be, somebody would make them a different way, get around the patent some way.
Oh yeah.
So I need to get them out there, as soon as possible. I've got a couple people who said, I will not post this until you're ready for me to post it, because it will go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
A couple people I met at Workbench Con, big names. They were like, I love it. They wear it in their shop now. I talk to them on, from time to time, and they love it. So when it's ready to go, when I get that first, with the next big batch, then hopefully you'll see a lot more of it.
Because you have another iteration I didn't grab, but is it the Carpenter Pencil?
Yeah, so that one I'm still 3D printing, but in the production run, that would be part of it. So they'll both be injection molded.
Yeah, because I think the Carpenter Pencil by far is going to be great. If you can get that into your box stores, contractors are going to love those.
Right. So the contractor one actually holds a Pica pencil also.
Ooh.
So
speaking of which, no.
Yeah, I think I've got a Pica pencil in my bag here.
I love all my Pica pencils. Not sponsored. Hey, look, it's green, so you can't tell what it is. Sweet. But yeah, no, these are by far my favorite. And then I got the Carpenter too.
Yeah.
So I'm not sponsored, but it could be.
Redesigning it just a little bit to make sure that it holds more of the Pica, because the Pica pencils, the thickness is a little bit different on each of them. And then the contractor pencils, if you go to big box stores, their pencils are different dimension than the ones that you get like at the trade booths.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard getting the dimensions exactly right for all of them. But hopefully the redesign will kind of help that problem.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool product for sure, because you can put it in any hat and make it work without ruining your hat too, or buying a specialty hat that has that loop in it.
Right. Yeah, and that's the other thing. So yeah, once I started seeing, Brunt's got it, Carhartt's got it, and stuff like that, and that you've got to wear that hat, right? So this doesn't, you can wear. Everybody's wearing their own brand.
Wear your favorite hat.
Yeah.
Is this one on your website, by the way?
The hat.
The hat. Yeah.
So, there's your storm
my tornado warning. Yep.
Yeah. So that hat is actually not a real hat.
Oh my gosh, I'm out of here. This is it. Tornado warnings.
So my brother is a graphic designer, and so technically that is a real hat, but the patch on it is not. So he made that patch.
I'll recommend that you make that hat.
So I am actually working on that. Yeah, because it's slick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
looks like it'd be very comfortable.
Yeah,
it's a good color scheme too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in general, plus the dry fit type backing.
Although I gotta take my headset off for this, but I gotta show you for the people who are watching. So we were out gardening on Saturday, and the only downside to these trucker hats, if you're out gardening and you don't wear sunscreen.
Oh, that's awesome.
Y'all see that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice little.
Looks like your wife slapped you with a shovel.
Yeah. I went into work
Monday.
on Monday. It was bright red.
Gentlemen, with that tornado warning, I apologize, but I'm going to jump off of here and shut everything down, make sure I don't blow anything up.
Yeah.
So if you want to, Chris, you can keep going, but thank you so much. And sorry I have to bail on you guys. Thank you, Matt, for joining us. I hope you have a good night.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. That's a good thing you didn't have your hat on backwards.
Right. Yeah. That would have been great. I was telling somebody I should have put like googly eyes back here, look like a frowny face or something like that. But I love those the flex fit hats. So I like the design of that hat that he was showing, but I would do it in a flex fit, I think, if I could do it that way.
Yeah, I've got a weird shaped head. Hats are difficult for me. The tall hats make me look like I'm wearing a 5-gallon, cowboy hat, and the little low profiles, they make me look like I'm wearing a kid's hat.
Right.
The hat's like what you got on now. I just my whole head facial structure is I look goofy. So
yeah,
I don't know. When I was young, it worked. I think when I had hair, it balanced everything out enough. But now that I don't have hair, it's just like, whatever.
You should get one of those hats with the hair that sticks out.
So now I only wear a hat mostly when it rains, just to keep the rain from getting all over my glasses, that I normally wear. So
yeah,
that's the way it goes.
Oh, that's funny. Well, so I'm part of the Maker Community Project, and if nobody's heard about it, there's a Instagram and a website. So I'm part of that. We're doing some swag, testing out some swag initially to sell some stuff for a giveaway and things like that. And so part of the original hats that we ordered were those like really tall, like front of the hats. So I have one of those. I every time I put it on, I'm like, I look like a little kid or something like that, because it's just massive.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the one that I was wearing in the video that I was showing, the glue video. But that one I just threw on another one of those spur of the moment videos.
Yeah,
but,
sometimes those are the most fun.
Yeah, but since then we've got nicer hats, so like this style.
Yeah, you always had good swag in your videos. That's good branding.
Yeah, because all those reposts, people are going to start taking your videos, and if you're always wearing your own stuff, wearing your own brand, then there's no denying. People will tag you and say, "Hey, somebody's stealing your footage."
Yeah, that's partly the reason why I had a banner made. The other part of the reason is that shelf that is always behind me when I'm at my workbench looks like crap.
Yeah.
So at least it hides the crap shelf,
Oh, right.
I look
You're
at it
like me.
this. Yeah, my stuff's real. I don't have all the fancy high-end shop furniture and the wall control. I mean, I can't afford any of that.
Right.
I prefer to put my money into machinery and tools that will help my trade.
Yeah.
And so if people don't watch me because my background is kind of cluttered, so what? I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just after to have fun. If people watch, they watch.
Right.
I want to help people, not impress people.
Yeah, that's a good way to go about it. Yeah, like I know we didn't talk about it too much, but like when I was really trying to pursue the business and I thought, well, I could do this full time, it was like I started burning the candle at both ends. And even now I find myself like, my wife will have to check me. She'll be like, "Oh, you've been on your phone a lot lately." Like, yeah, I'm trying to get caught up, or I'm trying to splice together a video. Like last night or the night before, I was up till 11:15, 11:30. Well, actually the video I posted this morning about the home office, and I was up till like 11:15, 11:30 trying to do that. And yeah, it's like, oh, for what? 100 likes, or whatever. Now, I mean, there are like brand sponsorships that come out of some videos. People will message you and like, "Hey, I really like your video content, let's do a collab or whatever." So that's part of the reason why I try hard on the content side. But it's disappointing when you put like the videos that do the best are the ones you put the least amount of time in. And the ones that you're like, you spend hours on, it's like the worst. That's frustrating.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way it is, for sure.
Yeah. I guess I gotta, just start doing voiceovers, TikTok voiceovers. That's the way that this whole social media thing's going.
And see, even with that, I mean, I don't mind. I like doing some of the TikTok stuff, but I prefer to do original stuff,
Yeah.
But I don't know. But people do well with that and they enjoy it. We had Sterling Davis on not long ago, and that's the bulk of what he does, and he loves it. He said it's a great outlet for him, and he enjoys it, has fun, and that's the whole thing. If it's bogging you down too much, then it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So, well, I know
Cool.
that when I reached out, I was like, oh yeah, it'd be a great one to have on, and you jumped on it pretty quick. So maybe you didn't know quite what you were getting into, but we do appreciate you coming on. We ask this to all of our guests. One, are you more team chamfer or team roundover?
So I've heard this on your thing before, and I thought about it. I used to be team roundover.
Oh, I don't like where this is going.
Right. Yeah. So, and I still like it depends on the project, really.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about like cabinets and stuff like that, I'm going to be roundover, right? Because it's going to be, I don't know, just you don't even notice it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking about, like signs and stuff like that, I like a good chamfer. So I gotta say, can I be both? Can I be round chamfer? Chamfover?
Yeah, there you go. And they always give me grief because I'm team roundover, but I do like a chamfer on certain things, so it's not like it's 100%. It is definitely project driven, but
I gotta say, roundover is easier.
yes, and Mike says chamfers are easier to sand. I find roundovers easier.
Roundover is easier to sand all day long. You're gonna hide it easily.
But
Especially
see,
if
Mike
nice...
doesn't hand sand if he can get away with it. Mike can take that orbital and go right down that chamfered edge, and then he's back up on the flat, just like that. So in his market, I can see where chamfer may be easier to sand, but hey,
yeah,
what do you know?
Yeah, I've got a nice a padded sander that if I have a roundover, it's awesome. It's just it's a surf prep sander. It's just got a nice pad to it, and I can just it's beautiful.
Yeah, those sanding pads they make are they do well for contours.
Right.
Yeah, I've got the Unita version of that, the EcoSand.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sitting at my desk right now, and I actually have both. I have I can't move the camera right now, but I have both a chamfer and a roundover on it. So there you go. There's your answer. Nice.
The second question that we always ask is, and this is something you can think about and let us know or let the person know, who would you like to see in your hot seat as a guest on the show?
Yeah, there's a handful of people. And I'm going to feel bad if I call one out.
Yeah. Again, you don't have to answer here, but what we always ask that just as a way of, hey, if you feel like that would, someone who you'd want to see there and they'd be willing, you can maybe reach out and then have them contact me, or you can give me their information, privately, and then I can reach out. But we just find that it's always good to have the person, hey, make contact. Hey, I was just on this podcast, yada, yada. Because people that I try not to invite people on that I don't follow or that I haven't had some communication with. It's a little tricky because, I've reached out to quite a few female content creators and makers who are actually woodworkers. And a lot of times I get, some weird responses or no responses. And I really would like to get more of these female makers in here because they've got a perspective and an ability to do things that a lot of us men do. They have such an eye for detail for a lot of things.
So I'll tell you one, and if she was one that ghosted you, then you just say thank you. So hopefully not. But Annette 513 Woodworks, she does a ton of different like classes and stuff like that. She's part of the Maker Community Project as well. If you go check out some of her like chaos boards and things like that, and she's always trying something new. And that's the thing I love about following her, because she'll go to a class or whatever just to learn something new. And she's a great, in fact, when we were starting up the Maker Community Project, we were looking for people to be part of the team, and I was like, I think she would bring a great perspective. So her name is Annette, and so hopefully she doesn't hate me for mentioning her name, but because she's kind of a shy personality. But yeah, check out her page. She's got some great stuff on there.
Yeah, Kyle, I hear you.
Round over in the front, chamfer in the back.
Does that make you the mullet of woodworking?
That's it. I like that.
Oh man, that's funny.
Team mullet. Coming from two bald guys.
Yeah. Well, I know it's late. We're getting late for our side, but Matt, we do appreciate you coming on. And again, if you guys didn't see, go check him out. He's on Instagram. He's got great content, got great builds. Definitely worth going and following him if you don't already. Hopefully by the end of this, you hopefully want to go follow him and learn more about him. But great guy all around. I've always enjoyed, ever since I started following you, I've always enjoyed your content and your projects. You always do cool little things.
Thank you.
And so, let me try to find this. Mike,
thanks for having me on.
Hey man, we appreciate it. It's always nerve wracking. You're like, like next week, we've got Gerald Vance coming on here.
Cool.
And I'll go ahead and share this. In 2 weeks, we have Tony Rulo coming on here.
There you go.
Yeah. So Mr. Square himself. So got some big names dropping their hat here in the Whatnot podcast arena. And, we're just a little bitty fish in the pond, but we just love talking to woodworkers and learning new things. And, it keeps us all humble, knowing that we all come from the same kind of background. We struggle and we make woodworking our passion, and we just want to share it with others. So
everybody always puts the best out, right? And that's the thing, is that in social media realm, everybody seems like they've got it all together, but then the camera's off and it's like, you're reposting content because you're stressed out in the shop trying to get a project done.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear, and that's why I love listening to podcasts, is because you get to hear the voice behind something, a little bit more personality to it. So thanks for having me on.
Hey man, we appreciate it. And go check him out. And let's see, if you didn't know, our podcast is available on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all the major podcast platforms. And of course, you can watch us live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. So, on behalf of Mike, who bailed out because he's, buried because of a potential tornado, we assume he's okay. We'll see how next Wednesday, if he comes back, we'll know everything's good. But we appreciate it, Matt from Voeltner Woodworking, coming on, and you have yourself a great night. And thank you, everybody. Let me see if I can find there's a video that gets played, and I don't know where he hides this thing. Here we go. All right, y'all have a great night. And Matt,
all right, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Keep trucking away, buddy.
Thank you.